it looks like we've got 45 people here, which is pretty much everybody that signed up. And we are going to be talking today about club service and challenges in a virtual world, which we're all living in here. So I'm David Sampson. The program says I'm a district governor-elect. That's not quite true. I'm a district governor nominee until July 1st, but I appreciate the promotion. My partner here in presenting is Christine Burns, who's the district governor nominee designee for District 7890. And Christine is also the techie that's running everything in the background here. So that everything's going to work great for us because she's got her hands on the controls, but she's also a very valuable contributor. And Amy Leonardi, who is from the Falmouth Rotary Club, was going to talk to us about a project that they have. The discussion topic, club service challenges. We've all had to think and rethink what we do as Rotarians over the past year, not just Rotarians, and pretty much everything we do. And that it made for a lot of changes in how we operate. Service is at the very heart of what we do as Rotarians. And a good service project is something that is essential for every club. Successful projects require that members rally around what the project is, that they see that as a sense of pride and accomplishment for their organization, and that they follow through and make things happen. The various pieces of that are, assessing what the projects will be, what the need for the project is, building interest in it, assembling a team, funding, executing, and analyzing that project to make sure that it remains viable. We've got a 40-minute session today, which is really very short. So Christine is going to talk with us about planning a project. We're figuring out something like 10 minutes. Amy is going to talk with us about Falmouth's program, which is about 10 minutes. And that's going to leave us about 10 minutes for discussion at the end. And we'd like to hear from you, the participants, about pitfalls and successes with projects service projects that you've been involved with, and what the future is for service projects as we move forward, given the drawbacks of COVID and what's happened and what we've learned in the last year about communication and Zoom and the technology that's been brought into what we do. So I'm going to ask Christine to take over now and talk to us a little bit about planning a project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Burns, Holyoke Rotary Club, Holyoke, Massachusetts, the birthplace of volleyball. Thank you for signing up to be with us today with Dave and I. I just want to tell you the truth. So when Dave and I were originally talking about this, the title was Great Service Projects. Wait a minute, aren't they all great? And then when we got the program, they changed the title on us. We expected that this would be a rather interactive meeting. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my philosophy of a service project. And all clubs are different, all cultures are different, all communities are different. But I believe that some of the things that I feel strongly about can go to all clubs in all areas. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to give you the heads up, because we do have a guest speaker who's going to be talking about a really great project that we have heard about that not only involves the club and the community, but also I actually chose it from many options because it will involve what it will be our 7th Avenue of service, the environment. So I think that's so important. But we are going to ask one of you to tell us a little bit about a project that your club did It was a great idea. Everybody was on board, and it just didn't work. So be thinking about that as we move forward with our little presentation, because we really want to hear from one of you. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what we want to talk about today, because that's how we learn. We can hear about everything that's great, but we learn more from everything that maybe didn't go as we planned. So these are my tips for success that I came up with when I was president of my club. The first one is so important: know your community and ask what the needs are. Many clubs that I have in dealings with, I'm an assistant district governor for 2 areas right now. I have 9 clubs. And some clubs have many nonprofits in their membership, many different kinds of people. And the group is the only ones that are polled to find out what to do in the community. Nobody, I'm not saying this is never. So if you're in one of my clubs, I'm not, this is a general statement. They don't always really delve into the community to find out what the real needs are. And one of my examples is that, one Rotarian was walking down the street and saw 3 kids with sneakers without shoelaces. So they raised money and donated 500 shoelaces to a local youth organization, only to find out that that was the style, and half the kids had sneakers that didn't even require shoelaces. It's so important that we make sure that we are truly meeting the needs of our community. Absolutely. Raising money or donating goods to an multi-million-dollar organization, even though they're serving your community in a great way, may not have the same impact as looking at a very small group that's been around a while, that is operating on a shoestring, that's doing great things. I'll give you a really good example. There's one club that I know of in our district that has done a district grant every 3 or 4 years for the local YMCA. I love the YMCA. This is not about the YMCA. This is an example. And they do a great job, and they're a learning pod. So we, have given them many different things over the many years. We also have a local nonprofit called the Homework House. The Homework House is operated by the Sisters of St. Joseph, teachers. They operate an absolutely free after-school program in 3 locations around the city. Almost everything they have is by donations. Their budget is tiny. And yet they do not have a person in the Rotary Club in this community. And so they have never, even been asked about a grant. Reading your local newspaper, following social media, asking your club members, who is it out there in our community doing great work that we don't know about? There are so many. I encourage you not to just look at the nonprofits and people in your club for your projects or your giving. It can make a huge difference, especially now. Many clubs have nest eggs. Many very small nonprofits do not. It's a great way to be able to do that. So when you're planning your project, you not only need to know your community, but you absolutely need to know your club members. Dave Clifton, tell us something about yourself that maybe people don't know, that the general Rotary people don't know about you. You have to come off mute.
I'm sorry, I left for a second.
No, Dave Clifton.
Oh.
Dave Clifton, tell us something about you that people don't know, something you're passionate about. You're muted, Dave Clifton.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
My passion is public image, and I enjoy doing some radio and TV work. But at the same time, it gives me an opportunity to talk about the good things that happen in communities. And under that category, I get a chance to talk about Rotary and how Rotary makes an impact in a community. And I enjoy very much being able to have people talk about all the good things. There's a lot of bad things happening out there, and I think an opportunity to talk about good things is so important.
Thanks, Dave. So Dave is in a unique position because of his radio show. He probably meets groups in the community that maybe people who don't listen to. I'm sure everyone loves your radio show, Dave, but maybe some people aren't listening, or they're out of the area like we are, and they don't know about some of the great things happening in your community. But Dave is able to have that information available and should absolutely be talking to his club members and or even clubs in the area of where the project or the group is existing, saying, you know what, did you ever think of supporting this group? They could really use it. They're doing great work. So it's really important to know your club members when planning a project, not only for what you're going to do for a project, but also to ensure that you can get buy-in. I'm going to give you a little example. And this is about the don't overthink and never think a project is too small. When I was president of my club, we were approached by a group that ran the Great Holyoke Block Party. They wanted a group to run the children's area. Well, most of our members are older. They didn't really think that this was something that Rotary should do. It didn't really involve like our goals as a club and all of that, but I wanted to do it as president. I work with young children and I own a small business. We do family entertainment, so I work with kids. I said, I'll do it if you give me $50. That was all I could get out of them. I said, we'll set up a table with Rotary information so that if we do get kids to come to our area, then you guys can talk to the parents about Rotary, even if it's about the scholarships, maybe, just what we do in the community, get the word out. With my measly $50 and 3 or 4 volunteers, I dyed with food coloring $50 worth of ziti, elbow macaroni, and wheels. We bought 3 big rolls of yarn and we set everything out in bins, and kids came and made macaroni necklaces. Now, no matter what age you are, you probably made a macaroni necklace at school. We had a line at our table. We had many, many parents coming over. We had people come over just to wonder why there was a big line at our table. We spread the word of Rotary, and we looked differently in the eyes of our community. People looked at us differently. Yes, this was something Rotary didn't normally do. This wasn't a huge project that we thought would put us on the front page of a newspaper, but it did, and we were above the fold. It was so shocking that Rotary people would wear blue jeans and their Rotary shirt and help kids to make macaroni necklaces and simply talk about what we did. It was a hugely successful project. We were actually approached by a local Kiwanis club to say if we ever did that again, we should work together. This was a small project, but it had a huge impact in how the community perceived us. And every single kid that made a macaroni necklace loved it. It was great. So it really wasn't too small. And I think that, especially in this country, we look at, many dollars, and we look at, we want to impact the most people, but a cleanup day in a poor neighborhood can impact a ton of people and give Rotarians, at least in some communities, a different look at their community, the look that they may not see. So I just want you to really think about that. So know your members, don't overthink it, never think a project is too small, and never forget Murphy's Law. Glitches are going to happen. Trust me, I was your tech person for Thursday night. Glitches will happen. But we want to make sure that we are still going forward in a positive way and having a lot of fun. Lastly, I want to tell you a quick story about a guy in our club. Now, this is partly know your club members. Never assume you know everything about that. We already knew Dave's radio show. We kind of knew all that. But there's things we don't know. When we did a member moment a few years ago, we found out that this kind of grumbly guy whose favorite thing to do is tell us what we do wrong, tell us what we should do, how we should do it, and then never volunteer for anything. We found out that even though he inherited his father's rug company, He always wanted to be a wedding photographer. Who knew? Like, we were stunned. Well, it was amazing how when I approached him and I said, "Hey, Bill, now that we have a website, now that we're doing social media, the one thing we don't really have is good pictures." Like, at the time, cell phones were not what they were. I said, "Could that just be your thing? Would you just be willing to come to the events and take good pictures for us?" Well, now Bill is the first one to come up to me and say, "Hey, do you want me there to take pictures?" Or, "I just showed up at this thing and I took some pictures for you. I'll send them to." We never would have known this about our club. The things we don't know. Get to know your club, get to know your members, and it can make a huge difference. So I just want to share a couple of pictures about the Never Too Small. This is a picture from Facebook, a Facebook friend of mine. This is not my Facebook friend. Her name is Mary Drushra in India. And part of their COVID relief was they gave out, and these are some of the recipients here, they are bags of rice, and this is laundry detergent. This is a brick of laundry detergent to help people to make sure things are clean, to help their COVID from spreading. I don't know that in the United States of America that we would even consider this something that we would do as a project. Maybe just something we would do. This had 20 pictures on Facebook, all different scenery from this event, shared all over Facebook and by Rotarians across the world. So please do not think that your project is too small. It's about knowing your community. So thank you for listening to me. Amy, are you here? Amy
I am here. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Amy. So Amy
Hi,
is
Amy.
going to tell us about the project the Falmouth Rotary Club did. And I have a couple of slides for you to talk about, Amy, okay? And thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much to everybody. I'm apologetic because we are actually in the middle of a service project this morning. So I'm actually coming to you live from the site of one of our tent setups as part of the outdoor learning project. And so just a little background on our project. It was started as a result of being on the Superintendent's Advisory Committee as a parent and also a Rotarian. Our superintendent is also a Rotarian. And we were talking about how we could keep the kids outside and safe, and there are just so many benefits to it, not just during the pandemic, but after the pandemic or pre-pandemic. We know that mental health is hugely benefited by being outside, physical health in terms of eye health, overall body exercise health. It's all beneficial for being outside, including kids with disabilities like ADHD and things like that. So when I approached her with the project and they kept saying, outside's better as much as possible, she said, let's do whatever we can. And so we formed a group with within Rotary and some interested parents in town. And what we did was we reached out to the community. And that's how we kind of started with setting up the base for what we needed to do. And we believe that we're all stakeholders, right? Not just the Rotarians doing the volunteer work, but we want to involve everybody, including the kids, from a very young age, to all contribute to something that's going to benefit all of us. And so we got together, we reached out to all the stakeholders, retirees, Rotarians, other service clubs, the principals, the students, the teachers, retired teachers, the 300 committee who heads up our conservation land, everybody, the Native Land Trust, and everybody kind of leaned in. It was a common goal. And we kind of stuck people with what they were comfortable with or what they would like to do. And so because of that, we were able to form various subcommittees, including grant fundraising within this smaller project, volunteer tracking, the different projects, point people for every different school. And so we started with immediate needs. And what we did was we really rallied everybody through social media, through emails, with our partnerships. So by partnering with community nonprofits like VIPS or 300 Committee and the Native Land Trust, they could send it out to their lists and they were able to get us volunteers. And you can see even here today, we've had a steady 17 people volunteering every week to put these tents up, which is great. So when we started in the fall, we started with garden cleanups and helping with garden curriculum and structure. So we needed seating for outside. We needed shelter for outside. And again, we leaned in. We worked with the local landscaping companies, the local DPW, and we said, we need extra logs. We need seating because those don't have to be sanitized in the same way that regular desks and other things need to be. And so we just kind of regularly were reaching out and we got all the infrastructure that we needed. People were just so happy to lean in and help, especially during the pandemic. And it makes them feel good and invested in everything. So to date, now we have not only set up infrastructure at all the schools, and we've had to date, I'm just going to look at the total. We're at almost 1,200 hours of community service from the beginning of this project to currently today. And about half of those have been Rotarian hours, whether it's been lining fields, helping with tent installs, volunteering to get supplies to the different schools, working as point people, writing grants for everything that we needed. Everybody has kind of leaned in and helped with this. And we've actually raised $73,000 since September. We got a district grant, and then we've expended $43,500. So we're waiting to get some professional development curriculum for our teachers and things like that. But it's just been such an incredible experience. It really has. We have kids, both Rotarians and parents here. They're seeing their community come together for something, and that's the message we want to send them, is that no matter what you're doing, no matter how small your contribution to an overall project is, or how big or small the project is, you're doing something. And it's such a great lesson for our kids because they then see a community come together, lead by example, no matter what else is going on. And they'll hopefully then take that lesson further with them as they go and pass it on to the next generations. So I know, like, we've been featured in the New York Times, CBC Canada, and some other places. And we have an additional $30,000 to $50,000 in commitments coming in the next several months to both finish our tents that we have put up, as well as professional development, because we've surveyed the teachers to see what they need, and other supplies, including cold weather outdoor teaching. And so it's really been phenomenal. Our next kind of push is our partnership.
Wish you a happy birthday. Thank you very much.
Is our partnership with the 300 committee, and what we're going to be doing is putting QR codes at all this conservation land, and the students will be able to walk to these places because they're all within walking distance that we've mapped, and they will have interactive science living classroom type experiences. And they're going to have little cell phones and everything like that will take them, get them the information as they're traveling along, and then they can come back and present about it. So we're kind of blending the best of both technology and outdoors. We really believe that overall this project kind of ties in with almost pretty much every tenet of Rotary. I think the case could be made. I'm just going to look at my sheet here. The areas of focus that we have targeted here covers the supporting education, fighting disease during the pandemic, growing our local economies because the parents are able to be okay because our kids are full in and they're having a great time and they're being safe, protecting the environment and teaching them more science and taking into account of all our learning spaces to really make them blend with the natural environment, saving mothers and children. And we've argued that promoting peace could be argued as well. But Rotary was such a great way for us to step in and form a partnership with this type of program. It really was. And again, nothing's too big, too small. No effort is too big or too small. People, they donate little things, they donate big things. I mean, our volunteers are just so fantastic and everybody just helps where they can. You got librarians giving reading recommendations for fiction and nonfiction for our kids to pair with their science and math lessons that tie in with outside. Our math coaches are now partnering with the librarians to do math games outside made from sliced up of the tree stumps. So it's just been truly phenomenal. And never doubt or underestimate the power of social media, Rotary and just bringing it all together and helping people find their niche, because you just find one small thing and they will be there. I mean, these people have been here every week for the past 4 weeks putting up these tents, and it's phenomenal.
Amy,
Thank you.
thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your coming to us. I know how busy you are. I can take 1 or 2 questions in the chat for Amy, because we only have 10 minutes left and we do have one more speaker. And I will also make sure that you have Amy's email address, which, if Amy, that's okay with you, when we send out this recording, we'll make sure that people can contact you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your being here. I have a school garden. We have apple trees and a plum tree and a peach tree, and we teach cooking classes from our garden. So I really appreciate that you're doing this. There's not enough of that. Thank you. All right, so next, we would like to know, we're asking for a volunteer. What didn't work? Who is willing? Who is willing to come forward and give us, oh, Philomena, you're the best. Thank you so much. Give us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay, so this was a great idea that sort of went south very quickly. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Duxbury, but before that I was a member in Brockton. And our club looked around and said, oh my goodness, we need a public clock. You know, you're walking down Main Street and you see those clocks. And so we put up a lot of money. I mean, thousands of dollars. We worked with the city. They showed us the ideal spot to put the clock. And at the end, this beautiful clock was there. We had our name on it. And somebody says, you know, every time I drive by the clock, no matter what time of day it is, it always says 1 o'clock. So the clock wasn't working. And then we found out that to change it, the company had gone out of business. They were the only people that did it. And it just became a nightmare, like, I don't know, thousands of dollars later. And we had to start all over. So that was a good idea that didn't work.
Philomena, thank you for sharing that, because my own club did the same project with the Rotary clock for the capital campaign of our library, which is over 100 years old. It was being redone. It's a beautiful building. We had the clock, work with the city, got the grant, bought the clock, put it right in front of this beautiful antique entrance. But we didn't do our due diligence, and we didn't realize that the entrance was being moved, the new entrance was being moved to the back of the library. So now our beautiful clock is not in front of the entrance, it's in front of the back. So that's a great example. Thank you. Anyone else brave enough to tell us about something that was this great idea, big or small, that did not go as you thought? Betty, take it away.
Hi, everyone. A quick thing that we did, we talk about knowing your members. That's a really important thing. Many of our members, I guess we don't realize that they're just getting older and they can't physically do service projects like the way they used to. And we have a mix of, like, you know, newer members that are on the younger side and some older members. So when we have cleanups, for example, you know, our minds are thinking like, oh, we're going to get all these Rotarians to come and do the cleanup. And then we get there and it's 3 of us, you know, and then we feel disappointed. So we created a Facebook group called People of Action. And we're putting information out there on a Facebook group so that we can try to get people to join our Rotary People of Action group from the community. And it hasn't really taken off yet, but we've gotten some interest. And at our cleanup, we had a city councilman show up because he heard about it and he helped us. And so we think that it's going to grow in the future. So I don't have a great success story on, ooh, we got 100 people to show up, but someday it will happen. So I love your idea about knowing your members and not trying to put all the burden on their shoulders.
Thank you very much, Betty. We have about 3 more minutes until I have to hand it back to Dave for wrap up and questions. I would really love to hear from you. We allowed plenty of time for an interactive. I'm sorry, there's not more slides and videos where you can just stare at us. But but I would love to hear from you. Anyone? I don't see any hands up. Oh, wait. Lori, thank you for being brave.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that we recently did a little service project in our club where they have this pollination program, Operation Pollination, to help with the monarch butterflies. So we went and bought 10 pounds of wildflower seeds, had some little envelopes made, and then there was about 8 of us Rotarians that got together, socially distanced, and we packaged them while drinking wine. So that was good. And then Betty, who's our president, coordinated the taking the packages and taking them to a local bank of one of our members to give out free to our community to help really spread the seeds, if you will, of the wildflowers to help with the butterfly project. And simple, small, little, not a lot of work, not a lot of effort, but it was really impactful. I think it will be impactful, I think, going forward.
That's great, Lori. And I bet that the name of your club and the Rotary logo was on those packages.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how many packages did you make?
There were 300, according to Betty Galligan.
So, and what was the cost of this project approximately?
So the seeds, I think, were about $150, and the envelopes were about $80.
So for about $180, you impacted 300 households.
We're hoping.
Yeah. Well, see, no, thank you. That's great. Again, you know, my club is in a poor community, and I hear so many stories of these big dollar projects, buying, you know, buses for this, or, you know, building a building for that. Those things are very difficult here. It's difficult to raise money. And so, but some of these smaller projects can have a big impact. Not only that, Lori, you're in that 7th Avenue of Service now that soon will be part of us. And clearly putting your name out in the environment, that's in the community, that's really huge. We have time for one more share before I give it back to Dave. Anyone else?
I would just like to say, Lori, that is a fantastic project. I think that is amazing. And I love little things like that because it really does contribute to a bigger picture, and every little bit helps. And I commend you for that. I'd love to hear more about that seed thing and network with you for that one.
Certainly. That was really Betty's idea. So, but we'll both be happy to speak with you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. I am going to hand it back to my partner in crime, Dave Sampson.
Thank you, Christine. We have had an opportunity today to listen to different kinds of projects. One of the things, the takeaways for us, the macaroni project, for almost no cost, had a fantastic impact. So it's not about how much money you put into it. It's what you can accomplish, and it's just getting that niche where there's a need, filling that need, finding a way to get the constituency that you need within your club and outside of your club in order to make it work. We've got a couple minutes for questions. Are there any questions?
We have something in the chat. We do Cape from Amy. We do Cape Kids Meals too, which is just volunteering, packaging meals and delivering to schools.
Amy, that's our club.
Okay.
One Sandwich Club, and yes, the Cape Kids Meals is a great project. It's been going for about 4 years. The club packages weekend supply of food to about 140 kids every week. It's a great project, and something that the members of my club have initiated, and it's great, filling a great need. It's growing and growing.
Lori, is your hand up from before, or is that a new hand up?
Oh, that was from before.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, from Randy Sabowski, thank you. Christine, how do you determine if a service project is successful enough to continue doing year after year? So, for my club, we determine, and as with many clubs, it has to be a dollar for dollar. Did what we spend on the project equal the impact that we had in our community? And the impact is going to be different depending on the project. So our club members determine that. Also participation. We can have a lousy project that everybody participated in for whatever reason, and one that went great that not many people participated in. One of the projects we do year after year is right before Thanksgiving, my club gets together and makes about 200 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and individually bags them, because our local soup kitchen gives those out on Wednesdays in the evenings. It's the only night in our city where there's no evening meal available, like at a soup kitchen or a church or whatever. We have a lot of people on the street. And a peanut butter and jelly sandwich can live in your pocket for a really long time unrefrigerated. It meets the protein, fruit, and grain threshold for a meal for a person who is food insecure. We have a riverbank community here in the city of Holyoke. So that project costs us about $30, and we do it every year because we know that impact is huge on that individual, even though there's no sticker going on that Ziploc bag. Nobody's taking pictures of those people who are coming to get those sandwiches. I think that what I say is a successful project in our club has to be determined by each individual club and what their threshold is for success in their communities.
Christine, we're down to a half a minute almost.
Thank you. I'm sorry I talk a lot.
No, that's fine.
Thank
you so much, everyone, for participating with us. We appreciate your interest, and we're available for questions. Can we give them some contact information, Christine? Are we able to do that quickly or not?
Yep, I am going to, hold on one second. Hold on just a second.
We're going to lose you in a minute, but thank you so much.
That's okay. Here we go. If you, this will be shared with you. This is our contact information for Dave and I, our emails, if you wish to take it down. But our names are in the program, and you can find us in our district websites. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. I really appreciate it that you stuck with us. I hope it was worth it. My only goal when I do a session is I hope people say it was worth it.
It was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.